There is a truth so simple, yet so profound, that it escapes most people in their pursuit of success, happiness, and fulfillment. It is the invisible force that separates those who achieve their dreams from those who remain stuck, watching life pass them by. It's not a lack of talent, intelligence, or opportunity that holds people back. It's the way they perceive reality. The world you experience is nothing more than a reflection of your inner thoughts, your beliefs, and the assumptions you hold deep within your consciousness. Every victory, every setback, every challenge you face is shaped by the mindset you have adopted, whether consciously or unconsciously. It's easy to blame external circumstances for why things aren't going the way you want. The economy, the people around you, past failures, excuses pile up, and the illusion of powerlessness takes hold. But the moment you realize that your mind is the only thing you truly control, everything shifts. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This realization is the key that unlocks the life you desire. Yet most people never turn the key. They want change, but continue living as if that change is out of reach. They dream of success, but remain trapped in the mindset of someone who has not yet achieved it. They yearn for happiness, yet act as though it's something that will come later, rather than something they can embody right now. Where are you directing your focus? Because focus determines everything. Picture a world beyond the physical, beyond what your senses can perceive. A place where every possibility already exists. A place where success, love, wealth, and fulfillment are not things to be chased, but things that are already present, waiting for you to step into them. This is not fantasy. It is the truth that underlies everything. Most people remain stuck in a state of wanting rather than having. They work tirelessly, they pray fervently, they hope endlessly, yet they see little change. Why? Because deep down, they still believe their dreams are far away, rather than realities that are already theirs. Imagine a man standing before an extravagant feast, every dish he could ever want laid out in front of him. Yet he insists he is starving. He sees the food, but he does not believe it is his to take. That is how most people live. They do not recognize that what they seek is already within their grasp. The world we see is bound by time and physical form, but the reality that shapes it is far greater. It exists in the realm of imagination, belief, and assumption. Think about a performer preparing for the biggest show of their life. They have trained for years, perfected their craft, and done everything possible to be ready. But in the final moments before stepping onto the stage, fear creeps in. What if I fail? What if I forget my lines? What if they don't like me? These thoughts, though subtle, are affirmations of doubt. They reinforce the idea that failure is a possibility, and in doing so, they make failure more likely. Now imagine the same performer taking a deep breath, closing their eyes, and instead envisioning success. They hear the applause, feel the confidence radiating from within, and step into the version of themselves that has already triumphed. In that moment, they have crossed the threshold from hoping to knowing, from wanting to having, and the outcome shifts. This is not a trick. It is a law of nature. What you focus on, you attract. If you focus on what you lack, you will continue to experience lack. If you act from a place of doubt, you will see that doubt reflected back to you. But if you embody confidence, if you assume your success is already real, the world begins to bend to that belief. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that perception is everything, that the way you see a situation is more powerful than the situation itself, that your mind, not the outside world, determines the quality of your life. The most extraordinary people in history were not those who had perfect circumstances. They were those who mastered their own perception, who refused to see obstacles as barriers, but as stepping stones. You do not have to wait for success to show up before you start acting as though it's already yours. You do not have to wait for happiness to arrive before you allow yourself to feel it. When you change the way you think, when you shift from seeking to being, from yearning to having, you align yourself with the reality you desire. Start small. Change your language. Instead of saying, "I want success," say, "I am successful." Instead of saying, "I hope for love," say, "I am loved." The words themselves are not magic, but the belief behind them is. If you can truly feel the emotions of already having what you desire, if you can align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with that state, reality will reflect it back to you. This is how the most successful people in the world operate. Jim Carrey, before he became one of the biggest names in Hollywood, wrote himself a check for $10 million, dated 5 years into the future, with the memo, "Acting services rendered." He carried that check in his wallet, not as a wishful thought, but as an embodiment of a reality he had already accepted. He worked not from a place of desperation, but from a place of certainty. And exactly 5 years later, he signed a contract for the exact amount he had written down. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. This is living in the fourth world, the place where your future self already exists. The place where your dreams are not distant, but present. The place where success is not something to chase, but something to claim. You are already standing before the feast. You already have access to everything you need. The only question is, will you recognize it? Will you step into the version of yourself that already has what you desire? Or will you continue to look at the table and insist you are starving? The choice is always yours. The power is always within you. There is a paradox hidden in desire, a cycle that traps so many people in frustration without them realizing why. The more you want something, the more you reinforce the belief that you don't have it. Every time you say, "I want success," you are unconsciously affirming, "I do not have success." Every time you think, "I wish I had more money," you are reinforcing, "I lack money." Desire, by its very nature, implies that something is missing, and when you live in a state of missing, of chasing, of yearning, you push what you want further away. This is the reason why so many people work tirelessly, struggle endlessly, and yet see little to no change in their lives. They live in a constant state of wanting, of waiting, of believing that happiness and fulfillment exist somewhere in the future rather than in the present. But those who understand how reality truly works do something different. Instead of wanting, they assume. Instead of hoping, they embody. They act as though they already have what they desire, and in doing so, they draw it toward them. This is not about pretending. It is not about closing your eyes and wishing for things to magically appear. It is about aligning your mindset, emotions, and actions with the reality you want to experience. When you carry yourself as someone who is already successful, opportunities open. When you radiate confidence, people respond to you differently. When you believe you are worthy of love, you naturally attract relationships that reflect that belief. Imagine two people walking into a room, both with the same dream of becoming a leader in their field. The first person is filled with doubt. They think, "I hope people take me seriously. I hope they see my potential." Their body language is hesitant, their voice uncertain. The second person, however, enters with the quiet confidence of someone who already knows they belong. They don't try to prove anything, they simply are. They embody leadership, not because they were given permission, but because they assumed it. Who do you think commands more respect? Who do you think people naturally gravitate toward? It is never the one who is asking to be validated. It is the one who has already validated themselves. The key to manifestation is not in wishing for something to happen, but in assuming it has already happened. This is the principle that so many great thinkers, leaders, and creators have used to shape their lives. Before Jim Carrey became a Hollywood star, he didn't just dream about success. He lived as though it was already his. He didn't just say, "I want to be an actor." He assumed the role in his mind so completely that reality had no choice but to catch up. Arnold Schwarzenegger did the same. Long before he became a world-renowned bodybuilder and Hollywood legend, he saw himself as a champion. He didn't just work toward his goals, he carried himself as if he had already achieved them. He spoke about his success as though it was inevitable, and eventually it was. This is how reality bends, not through force, not through endless effort, but through alignment. When you assume the identity of the person you want to become, the world begins to shape itself around that assumption. But most people struggle with this because they are too attached to their current circumstances. They look at their bank account and say, "I can't feel wealthy when I see these numbers." They look at their relationships and say, "How can I feel loved when I am alone?" They look at their failures and say, "How can I feel successful when I have no proof?" But here is the truth. Your external world is always a delayed reflection of your internal state. What you see today is merely the result of past beliefs and actions. If you keep waiting for circumstances to change before you change your mindset, you will be stuck in an endless loop. The only way to break free is to shift internally first. The most successful people in history didn't wait for the world to tell them who they were. They decided who they were, and the world conformed to their decision. They didn't ask for permission. They didn't wait for validation. They assumed the state of being they desired, and in doing so, they created the reality they wanted. This is why it is crucial to start acting as though your desires are already fulfilled. If you want confidence, start moving through the world as someone who is already confident. If you want success, carry yourself as someone who already embodies success. If you want love, stop seeking it. Start being love. Feel it within yourself first, and then watch as it manifests externally. This is not wishful thinking. This is the foundation of creation. Imagine an artist standing before a blank canvas. They don't stare at it, waiting for the painting to appear. They don't hope for the colors to arrange themselves into something beautiful. They pick up a brush and start painting. They see the masterpiece in their mind before it exists in reality. And with every stroke, they bring it to life. Your life is the same. Your mind is the brush. Your beliefs are the colors, and your actions are the strokes that shape the final picture. But too many people stare at the blank canvas, waiting for it to change on its own, not realizing that they hold the power to create. If you want to change your life, start by changing what you assume to be true about yourself. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who is struggling, see yourself as someone who is thriving. Instead of identifying as someone who is lost, see yourself as someone who has clarity. Instead of focusing on what you lack, focus on what you already have and build from there. This is not about ignoring reality, it is about creating a new one. Every invention, every breakthrough, every great achievement began as an idea, an assumption in someone's mind before it ever existed in the physical world. The chair you're sitting on, the phone you're holding, the buildings around you, all of it was imagined before it was built. The same principle applies to your own life. Your dreams, your goals, your vision for the future, they are not distant things to chase. They are realities waiting to be assumed. So ask yourself, are you acting as someone who wants or as someone who has? Are you living as though your dreams are far away or as though they are already yours? The way you answer these questions will determine everything. Shift your mindset and you shift your world. Step into the version of yourself that already possesses what you desire, and reality will begin to reflect that choice. This is not just philosophy. This is the nature of creation, and the moment you understand it, the moment you truly apply it, everything changes. There is a hidden force that shapes your world, a silent architect that builds the reality you experience every day. It is not luck. It is not fate. It is assumption. The beliefs you hold, the truths you accept without question, these are the blueprints of your life. Most people go through their days unaware of this power, reacting to circumstances as if they have no control. They believe that life is something that happens to them, rather than something they create. But here's the truth. You are always creating. Whether consciously or unconsciously, your assumptions are shaping the events, people, and opportunities that appear before you. The question is, are you creating intentionally, or are you allowing old, limiting beliefs to dictate your life? Assumption is not merely positive thinking, it is deeper than that. It is the act of fully accepting something as true before any physical evidence exists. It is the foundation upon which reality is built. If you assume success, you will naturally make decisions that align with success. If you assume failure, you will subconsciously sabotage your own progress. This is why two people in the same situation can experience completely different outcomes. It is not the external world that determines their fate. It is the internal world they carry with them. Imagine two individuals applying for the same job. One believes deep down that they are not good enough. They tell themselves that competition is tough, that others are more qualified, that rejection is likely. They may smile in the interview, but their energy speaks louder than words. Their nervousness, their hesitation, their self-doubt, these are all signals reinforcing their assumption that they won't succeed. The second person, however, assumes that the job is already theirs. They see themselves in the role before it happens. They walk into the room not as a candidate begging for approval, but as someone who knows they belong there. Their words are more confident, their posture more assured, their presence more magnetic. And whether or not they are the most qualified on paper, the energy they bring influences the outcome. This is the difference between hoping and knowing, between wishing and assuming. The world does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. This is not just an idea, it is a law of life. The great inventor Thomas Edison never doubted that he would create the light bulb. Even after thousands of failed attempts, he continued with the same assumption. It will work. And eventually, it did. He did not let external circumstances define his belief. His belief defined his circumstances. The same is true for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Before he became a household name, before he won bodybuilding championships, before he starred in blockbuster films, he saw himself as a champion. He assumed it. Even when people laughed at his accent, when they told him his goals were unrealistic, when obstacles stood in his way, he held on to the assumption that success was inevitable. And because of that, it became reality. You may think, but I can't just assume something into existence. But that is exactly what you have been doing your entire life. Every belief you hold has been shaping your reality, whether you were aware of it or not. If you believe that relationships are difficult, you will find yourself in difficult relationships. If you believe money is hard to come by, you will struggle with finances. If you believe that success is for other people but not for you, then you will live that truth. So what happens when you shift your assumption? When you stop looking at your dreams as something far away and start treating them as inevitable? Everything changes. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop chasing opportunities and start attracting them. You stop waiting for the world to give you permission and start creating your own path. This is not magic. It is alignment. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions all begin to reflect your assumption, and in doing so, they shape the world around you. But here's the challenge. Most people struggle with consistency. They assume success for a moment, but then doubt creeps in. They visualize their ideal future, but then they look at their current circumstances and lose faith. They oscillate between belief and disbelief, and this inconsistency prevents real change. Think of it like planting a seed. If you plant a seed and keep digging it up every day to check if it's growing, you disrupt its natural process. Growth takes time. The seed needs to remain in the soil, undisturbed, nurtured by faith that it will bloom. Your assumptions work the same way. If you constantly doubt and second-guess, you uproot your progress before it has a chance to manifest. So how do you stay consistent? How do you maintain the assumption of success, even when the external world hasn't caught up yet? One powerful method is to act as if. If you truly believed you were successful, how would you walk? How would you speak? How would you carry yourself? When you begin to embody these traits, you reinforce your assumption and it becomes easier to maintain. This doesn't mean pretending, it means living in alignment with the reality you want. Another way to strengthen your assumption is through visualization. But not just any visualization, one that engages all your senses. Close your eyes and step into your desired reality. What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What sounds surround you? The more vividly you can experience it in your mind, the more real it becomes in your subconscious. Consider the example of an athlete preparing for competition. The best athletes don't just train their bodies, they train their minds. They visualize themselves crossing the finish line, standing on the podium, feeling the weight of the medal around their neck. And when the day comes, their bodies follow the blueprint their minds have already created. This is how you bring assumption into reality. You don't wait for proof, you become the proof. Ask yourself right now, what have you been assuming about yourself and your life? Have your assumptions been lifting you up or holding you back? If you continue believing what you believe today, where will you be in a year, 5 years, a lifetime? If the answer does not inspire you, then it is time to change your assumption. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Assume that you are worthy. Assume that you are capable. Assume that your dreams are not just possible, but inevitable. Hold on to that belief with the same certainty that the sun will rise tomorrow. And watch as the world rearranges itself to match the truth you have finally accepted. Your world is not shaped by what you wish for. It is shaped by what you expect. Every person carries an invisible expectation about life, about themselves, about what they deserve. And whether they realize it or not, those expectations set the limits of what they experience. Most people expect struggle. They expect difficulties. They expect that success is hard, that opportunities are scarce, that life is full of obstacles. And so, that is exactly what they encounter. Not because the world is against them, but because their mind is filtering reality through the lens of their expectations. But there are others. People who seem to walk through life with an almost magnetic pull towards success. They are not necessarily more talented, more intelligent, or more privileged. What sets them apart is their inner expectation. They expect to win. They expect to find solutions. They expect doors to open for them. And because of that, they notice opportunities that others overlook. Expectation is not arrogance. It is not entitlement. It is the quiet certainty that life will unfold in your favor. It is the unwavering belief that things will work out, that the right people will come into your life, that the success you seek is already yours. This is why two people can walk into the same room and have entirely different experiences. One enters feeling like an outsider, unsure of themselves, assuming they are not wanted or valued. They shrink into the background. They hesitate to speak. And as a result, They leave unnoticed, feeling like they don't belong. The other person walks in with the expectation that they are already part of the room. They assume they have value to offer. They engage, they contribute, and because of that energy, people gravitate toward them. They leave with new connections, new opportunities, and a reinforced belief that the world welcomes them. This is the power of expectation. But most people expect based on their past. They let old experiences define what is possible. If they failed before, they assume they will fail again. If they were rejected once, they expect rejection in the future. Without realizing it, they are projecting their past onto their future, recreating the same cycles over and over. Expectation must be set consciously. You must choose what to expect, not base it on past evidence. Your past is not a predictor of what's to come. It is simply a record of old beliefs. The moment you change what you expect, you change what you experience. Think about a time when something worked out for you almost effortlessly. Maybe you walked into an interview knowing you would get the job, and you did. Maybe you entered a competition with the quiet confidence of a winner, and you won. Maybe you set a goal with such conviction that achieving it felt inevitable. That feeling, that deep certainty, is the energy of expectation. Now imagine if you carried that energy into everything you did. What would shift in your life if you expected good things instead of worrying about bad ones? If you assumed success instead of fearing failure? If you walked through every door as if it was meant for you? Some people hesitate because they fear disappointment. They think, what if I expect the best and it doesn't happen? But the truth is, expecting the worst doesn't protect you from pain. It guarantees it. It reinforces struggle. It makes you operate from fear rather than possibility. But when you expect the best, even if things don't go exactly as planned, you respond differently. Instead of feeling defeated, you look for new solutions. Instead of giving up, you adjust and keep going. Because you know success is inevitable, even if the path isn't always straight. This is what separates those who thrive from those who remain stuck. It is not talent. It is not luck. It is the deep, unwavering expectation that things will work out, and they do. Right now, take a moment and ask yourself, what do I truly expect from life? Not what you hope for, not what you want, but what you expect. Because that expectation is shaping your reality whether you realize it or not. If your expectations are not serving you, change them. Right now. Decide that life works in your favor. Decide that opportunities are everywhere. Decide that you are worthy, that you are capable, that you are already the person you want to become. Because the moment you do, life will start to prove you right. Your life is always moving in the direction of your strongest expectations. Whether you are aware of it or not, the things you deeply assume to be true about yourself and the world are shaping your reality. It is not your hopes, not your wishes, and not even your hard work alone that determines your destiny. It is your expectations. Most people expect difficulty. They expect struggle. They expect things to go wrong. And so, life obliges. Not because the universe is punishing them, but because expectation influences perception, and perception determines action. When you expect failure, you hesitate. You doubt yourself. You miss opportunities that are right in front of you because your mind is so focused on obstacles. You filter reality through the lens of your assumptions, and your assumptions become self-fulfilling. But then, there are people who seem to walk through life effortlessly. Opportunities find them. Success follows them. It seems as if the universe conspires in their favor. What is their secret? It's not luck. It's not a special advantage. It's expectation. They expect success. They expect solutions. They assume that things will work out for them, and because of that assumption, they act with confidence. They take chances others wouldn't. They see doors that others miss. Their entire energy radiates certainty, and certainty is magnetic. Imagine two people starting a business. One is filled with doubt. They expect it to be hard. They prepare for failure. They assume people won't be interested, and so they play small. They hesitate when it's time to promote their work. They second-guess their decisions. They procrastinate because deep down they don't truly believe in what they are building. The second person approaches it differently. They expect success. They assume that their business will thrive, not in an arrogant way, but with a quiet, unshakable certainty. Because of this, they move with confidence. They speak about their work passionately. They are not desperate for validation because they already believe in what they are doing. And because they carry this energy, others believe in them too. Customers are drawn to them. Investors take notice. The business grows. Expectation is not a passive thing. It doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It means you align your mindset, emotions and actions with the reality you want to create. You walk through life with the assumption that what you seek is already yours, and the world responds accordingly. But most people struggle with this because they are trapped in the cycle of their past. They let old failures dictate what they believe is possible. If they have been rejected before, they expect rejection again. If they have experienced setbacks, they assume setbacks will continue. Without realizing it, they are using their past as a blueprint for their future. Expectation must be set deliberately. You must choose what you expect, rather than letting your past define it for you. Just because something happened before does not mean it must happen again. You are not bound by old patterns unless you choose to be. Think about a time when something worked out for you, when things just seemed to fall into place effortlessly. Maybe it was a job you landed without stress. Maybe it was a relationship that developed naturally, without struggle. Maybe it was an opportunity that appeared at just the right time. In those moments, you weren't doubting, you weren't second-guessing. You simply expected things to go well, and they did. Now imagine if you carried that energy into everything you did. Imagine if you walked into every situation expecting it to work in your favor, not in a demanding way, but in a calm, unshakable way. How would your life change? What new possibilities would open up? Some people resist this idea because they fear disappointment. They think, what if I expect the best and it doesn't happen? But what they don't realize is that expecting the worst doesn't protect them. It creates the very thing they fear. When you expect failure, you unconsciously sabotage your success. When you expect rejection, you carry yourself in a way that invites it. When you expect struggle, you make everything harder than it needs to be. But when you expect the best, something shifts. Even if things don't go exactly as planned, you don't spiral into doubt. You stay focused, you adjust, you find solutions. Because your expectation is still set on success, your mind keeps looking for ways to get there. This is what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck. It is not talent, it is not luck, it is not external circumstances. It is the deep, unwavering expectation that things will work out. And they do. Right now, take a moment to reflect. What do you truly expect from life? Not what you hope for, not what you wish for, but what you expect. Because that expectation is shaping your reality whether you realize it or not. If your expectations are not serving you, change them. Right now. Decide that life works in your favor. Decide that opportunities are everywhere. Decide that you are worthy, that you are capable, that you are already the person you want to become. Because the moment you do, life will start to prove you right. This is the difference between those who struggle and those who thrive. Those who struggle live reactively, letting their past dictate their future. Those who thrive live intentionally, shaping their reality through expectation. You have this power. Right now. No waiting, no more looking for signs. The only thing stopping you is the belief that you need proof before you can believe. But belief is the proof. Expectation is the evidence. The moment you shift internally, everything externally begins to rearrange itself. So what will you expect from this moment forward? Will you continue expecting obstacles, or will you expect possibilities? Will you assume struggle, or will you assume success? Will you keep living as though life is happening to you, or will you step into the truth that life is happening for you? The choice is yours. It always has been.